So far, all we've done is we've created a directory named columns by typing in mkdir columns. Then we cd'd into the columns directory right here. And we touched an index.html file. So we created our first index.html file in the columns directory. And then after that, we put some basic HTML boilerplate inside our index.html file. We created a head tag that holds a style tag. And we created a body tag that holds an h1 with the text of columns in there. And that is what is appearing on our page. Now, our goal is to recreate, let's recreate one of the ones we were looking at previously. Let's recreate the Instagram page. I think this is a good one to recreate. Not fully recreate the Instagram page. We're just going to create let's create a fake Instagram page. It's a good call. Let's call it Fakestagram. Sound good? So we're gonna create a Fakestagram page, and we're just gonna put the Fakestagram logo in the middle of this nav bar, and then we're gonna make some columns for pictures. That's all we're really gonna do. Let's get it. So let's change columns to Fakestagram. I like that. That's fantastic. I'm stealing your idea. Absolutely. It's mine now. Mine. Give me your ideas. No, I'm giving him no credit also. I'm going to Zuckerberg him. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to surround this H1 with a div. The reason why we surround an H1 with a div is because we want to divide off this section of the page from everything else. So we're going to take this section of our body tag, this section of our entire page, and we're going to divide it from the rest of the page. All we're doing here is we're going to create a divider, just like they did on the Instagram page. Look here how this header is divided from everything else, right? There's a line that divides it at the very bottom. We're going to do that exact same thing. We're going to create a header that is divided off from the rest of the page. So we're using these div tags here. A div tag is a divider. It sections off part of your page from everything else. And then from that divider, I'm actually going to make these, I'm going to do this. That looks a little nicer. There we go. And from this, we're going to create some styles for our div that's going to make it look like a header. So we're going to say div. We're going to give it a background of blue. And we're going to give it, let's see, color of white. And if I save my file and I refresh it, it should look like this now. There we go. Just some simple styles. I'm taking this div element, I'm making its background blue, and I'm making the color of all the text inside it white. And so all that does is it takes everything inside the div, which in this case is only the H1 called Fakestagram. It's setting the background of the whole divider to blue, and it's setting its color to white. The color of the text, the H1 inside it. Now, if I want that Fakestagram to be in the middle, I'm going to give it one more style. Text, align, center. And if you do that, then your Fakestagram logo will be in the direct center of your page. So now this looks a lot more like a legitimate header, like something Instagram would use. Now notice, however, that around my header, there's all this weird little white space. See that? It doesn't look good because it doesn't extend across the entire width of the page. And if I pop it into a new browser, you can see this very clearly. There's a bunch of space around the body that makes this header not extend from one side to the other. It just doesn't look that good. And so our job is going to be to change that so that this header extends all the way across the left, all the way across to the right, and all the way to the top. The problem is that around this header right here, there is space created by what? Does anyone know what it is? The margin, that's right. The margin of what? Of what element? The margin of, well, we only have 5 things here right now, or 3 things. The body, one div, and an H1. Which of them has the margin? It's actually the body. The body has margin to start out with, the whole body. And so at the very top, we're going to create a style We're just going to say body margin 0. And if I save this page and refresh it, I should see this go away. You ready? Let's watch this really quickly. Watch as the space to the left, right, and top goes away. Refresh. Ta-da! And now it extends all the way across the page and all the way to the top of the page. You want the margin to be 0 so that there's no margin in the body. So there's no space around the body. And now this looks much, much better. And if you look at it on a big screen, it should look like this. Ta-da! If that's what you got, you're good. If you didn't get that, see what's wrong with your code. Now that all of this is ready to go, let's start drawing out our design, our layout. So the first thing I'm going to do is don't look at this. I'm going to create a new page. You looked at it already? Okay, that's fair. We're going to create a new page, and on this page, we are going to draw out our website. We're going to design it. We're going to design it like this.
So how do we do that?
First thing, you guys can just watch, and I'll model this process for you. And then I'll teach you how to do it, and then you'll do it yourselves. So here's the outline of my web page. And then I have, let's just say, here's how the header looks, or something like this. Okay? Let's make that line smaller. It might be a little crooked. I don't know. I don't really care that much. Then right here, I'm going to type in the word Fakestagram, because that's what we're creating. We're creating a Fakestagram page. Fakestagram. I did steal it from you, and I shamelessly stole it from you, in fact. And I'm not giving you any credit for it in this video, so no one will ever know it was you. Sound good? Great. You didn't copyright it. Should have TM'd it. Now here's our Fakestagram page, and on our Fakestagram page, all we're really going to do is we're going to create, let's do some shapes here. We're going to create 2 columns. One right here. And we're going to copy this, and we're going to make one more directly to the right of it. Over here. And you know what? Let's make sure all the space between them is exactly the same. So right here, the space between them is a little bit different right now. I would like the space between each of these to be exactly the same size. So to do that, we're going to have to do a little bit of calculations. A little calculation to make sure that the distance between here, here, and here are all the same size. So the way to think about it is you can think of this whole page as 100%. And if we want all of these to be the exact same size, I'm going to give them a name. In this case, I'm going to give them just the name of X. Because we want them all to be the same. So whatever size we make them, they should be the same. And then we're going to make the width of each of these columns 35%. So I'm sure a few of you could do this in your head, but what should the size of the gutters here be? Some of you can get it, some of you might not, but here's the little bit of math you need to do to make sure you're correct. All you do is you set up an equation, which in this case, you know what, let's use purple again, is 100% is equal to 35 plus 35. How many x's do we have? Plus x plus x plus x, which is the same thing as writing 100 equals 70 plus 3x. You can write the 3x first, but because of the associative property, it doesn't technically matter. As long as you do the same to each side here, I'm going to subtract 70 from both sides. And we're going to get 30 is equal to 3x. And then what's next, Ishmael? Divide both sides by 3. And we get x is equal to 30 divided by 3, which is 10. So we know that we want each of these sizes to be 10%.
You're so smart.
Just a little bit of math. Just a tiny amount. That's all you need to get you going. Now, once we've done our calculations, The next part is just, let's make it happen. I'm going to end this video here really quickly because it's getting long, and then we're going to create those columns next.